Hi everyone, it's Rob Ryder. I have a bit of a cold, and so I may have to sign off for a bit, come back on. I don't know how this is going to work, but it's for me, it's like too much information I need to download a bit because there's things I want to go do with this, and not just sit here and have thought about it. Right, the thinking part is about done without going and pushing a few buttons and see what happens. And so it's mainly about the post office and how to use the facilities of the post office and what that could mean to us. But it's also how the government ties into the post office. And, hey, you got to put all the pieces together and then to make the machine work for us instead of against us. Because if you were to watch this video right here, this is, we're not going to watch it, but it just came out yesterday, I think. Yeah, Rosita sent it to me yesterday. The role of the Supreme Court justices under the Constitution. And the senator sitting up here asking Scalia, who's here, and I don't remember this other guy is, give him a hypothetical about, we just had a better pause. Okay, I'm going to have to leave that in the corner there. Asking Scalia a hypothetical about we'll just cut to the chase, about the Congress delegating the legislative authority of the Congress to a third party other than the president. Right? Not to the executive branch, but to a third party. And Scalia says, well, if you ask me, I'd say it's unconstitutional, but I really can't say what the court would say. Which is an interesting answer, right? So if you think about how these Supreme Court justices are, when they're not together in the Supreme Court, they're like the head justice of one of the appellate districts. They're the chief judge of that district. Right? And so maybe it's in that hat you need to go to them. Maybe you need to send it to the clerk of the Supreme Court. Maybe, but how do you get it to them? Well, it needs to be in the mail. But the mail isn't an envelope. The mail is a pouch. It's a diplomatic pouch. Let's just call it a domestic diplomatic pouch. So what I learned by watching this video, and I may cover it separately in a different video, is that the Supreme Court represents the federal government. They represent the republic, where the senators represent the states. It's in the definition of what Congress is. They represent the state. They don't represent the people. It specifies they don't represent the people. They represent the state. So there's nobody at your state up to the senators that are sitting there in D.C. They're going to do a damn thing for you because they represent the state. They don't represent the people. Lowercase people, right? They may represent the proper case people or the the proper noun people, but they don't represent the lowercase people. That would be the Supreme Court, or the courts would, if we could get them the mail. But we're not sending them mail. We're sending them envelopes that aren't in the mail. And the way you get it into the mail is you have to have it pre-canceled or use official mail. So this is all tying together. Now, let's go back to... Anyways, just put this down. The role of the Supreme Court justices under the Constitution. Write it down. Watch the video. We may be talking about it again. All right, so I can get rid of something. And I can get rid of that one. Excuse me. Back here. Anyways, seat of government of the United States, a general post office, which is the main post office of a city, county, etc., that also has branch offices. Don't go postal. Watch the video. And it's right now, it's Sunday, February 11th, 2018. We'll see where it is when I finish the video. Rob Ryder email is quarterrecord@AOL.com. Phone number donate. Hey, in case you said you would in the past, because many people have, I don't know that you actually did, but if you would, if you forgot, please do, because I could use it. PayPal account is robryder@aol.com. Now, that's not for correspondence. You want to talk to me, right? Email me. Do it to quarterrecord@aol.com. I try to keep this other one, for a few of the other things I'm doing other than corresponding with people about the things, to the government and so forth. I use Rob Ryder, so I know who it's coming from. Or you could send it in the mail. Robert Allen Ratlewski. That's what you would use as the name for Western Union or MoneyGram if you wanted to do it that way. Or if you want to send money order, check, cash, whatever, well, use the mail. Okay. Let's just, I guess we'll keep going. So, Article 3 of the Constitution says the judicial power of the United States shall. Don't let anybody ever tell you that shall doesn't have the power of the word shall, because it does. In the federal government, shall is, there isn't anything other than shall, right? Shall means you shall do it. If you don't do it, well, then you didn't do it, right? That's all there is. You either did or didn't do it based on shall. And if it says you shall do something and you didn't do it, well, you can go to prison for that. Because you failed to follow a procedure that said shall. I've worked at nuclear power plants. Shall's a real powerful word. That's one of the words you look for in the procedure you have to read to do anything in a nuclear plant. Everything is by a procedure. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain or establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall, at times stated, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Well, traffic court is a commerce court. And that would have been established by Congress because Congress has exclusive jurisdiction over commerce. So the little court that's, down the road from you where you go for your traffic tickets, it's actually a Article 1 court established by the United States Congress. Well, it has the judicial power of the United States. It's just it's not being used to our benefit. They have a gold fringe flag in the courtroom, right? That's an Army flag. It's a military flag. It symbolizes that apparently we're under some kind of martial law. Well, I won't say martial law. I would say military rule. Or like the territories. When Michigan was a territory in 1805, some guys showed up on horses. One was a general, and he had some other officers with him. The general became the governor, and the other officers became the judges when they split Michigan into 4 districts. When they all got together, they made up the legislature. And the governor was the governor. Or he was the chief judge of the Supreme Court if they did it in that direction. But they were doing it with, using 3 or 4 people. Splitting the separation of powers. So, the Supreme Court and the lower, little district court of the United States, I believe that, lowercase district court of the United States, is the local traffic court. It's just we need to send them our mail, and we're not doing that because it isn't being done domestically, it's being done internationally. Now, how do you know that? Well, if you could look at the postmark, for a stamp to be canceled, it has to be in black. If it wasn't in black, it didn't happen. And if it wasn't canceled, then it wasn't prepaid, and so then it doesn't meet the criteria of first class prepaid, and well, then it doesn't go in the mail. It just gets sent, outside of the mail. Anyways, let's move on. The judicial power shall extend into all cases in law, equity, arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties, right? So anything to do with law or equity, anything to do with the Constitution, anything to do with the laws of the United States, like 18 USC 1001, that's a law of the United States. Omission of a material fact or false statement. We got all sorts of them we could pick. Anything to do with treaties, which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, to all cases of amity, maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party. Well, let's just stop real quick. That's why you want to make it an offense against the United States, because that's what makes the United States a party to the controversy. And that's in 18 U.S.C. 3041. We'll look at it here in a minute. It talks about the powers of courts and magistrates to issue arrest warrants for offenses against the United States. Right? Make the United States a party to the controversy. You're really the complaining witness, but it's the United States' law that was broken. To controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state. Now listen to this one. Between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states. This is where, Michigan and state of Michigan aren't the same thing. Or county of Kent and Kent County aren't the same thing. Or Oakfield Township and Township of Oakfield aren't the same thing. There are these entities of two different states both saying they own the land. And one trying to kick you off, right? They want to move their fence post over in your yard. There's a class of people, race of people, been known to do that. In all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers, well, who could that be? Who's a public minister? I got a real simple one. A notary public is a public minister. And all attorneys are notary publics. They're all public ministers. Hell, they're a public minister for being an attorney at law because they have a certificate from the state to do what they do. A CPA would be a public minister, right? Anybody who has a license from the state, they're working for the state. They have authority under the state to do what they do. All this is under the jurisdiction of the United States, which the Supreme Court and all these inferior courts have a duty to enforce. The trial of all crimes except in cases of impeachment shall be by jury, da-da-da-da-da. Then we talk about treason. And so if you watch the video, this is why the senator is talking to Scalia about this. Because if what they're doing is unconstitutional, which of course it is, Scalia already said so, then really it's treason. They could be tried for treason. And it only takes two witnesses. Well, it doesn't take two people, witnesses. It takes some paperwork with a seal on it. That's a witness, right? That's an official witness of the sovereign. So let it be written, so let it be done. Make it a memorial to the event. What does all that mean? So if you look at it this way, the United States of America is the thing that was created under the Articles of Incorporation. It's in Article 1. The style of the Confederacy shall be the United States of America. That's the Republic. That's where the Supreme Court is. That's where the Federal Reserve Bank with the credit is. Just look at your money. It says the United States of America. I don't care that it's all caps compared to proper case. It's the same style. The words are in the same order. That's a style difference. You're talking capitalization. I'm talking style. Because that's what matters. The style. It said so in the article. The United States of America. Well, that's King George III and his successors. It's the democracy. It's where the Congress is. It's where the United States Treasury with the debt is. And I said, we need to see stat 8 stat 80, which we'll look at in a second. But here's just real quick on commerce. The definition of commerce: exchange of commodities, D to D to D. In the sense in which the word commerce is used, the Constitution seems not only to include traffic, right? They can't change the definition of traffic to something they want it to be. No. According to the definitions of the word commerce, traffic is commerce. And so is intercourse. Communications is what intercourse is, right? Letters. The letter is what you send in the mail. Well, apparently that's commerce. And the senator makes it a point to point out, well, what I'm really talking about, although it's this clouded thing about registered dogs, who's going to keep the records of the registered dogs to make sure they're purebreds. It's actually what he's talking about. He makes sure to say, but really what it's about is interstate commerce. And so in the video, you'll get that, they've abdicated or they've delegated a power that they don't have the power to delegate. As Scalia says, it isn't unconstitutional, or the name unconstitutional delegation of legislative power is not the proper name, because it's not constitutional in any way to delegate those powers. Right? So you can't use the negative. It can't happen. It's treason to do it, is what he's saying, as far as I'm concerned. And if he could do something about it, he would. But unless somebody brought it to his attention the proper way, well, it's not going to be seen. And the Congress has control of letters, and so they've said, well, for a letter to be sent, domestic mail, it needs to be done in a certain way, and they're not letting us do that. We can't pre-cancel the stamp. They don't use black ink at the post office, which is why I want to use my own, and where we're headed in this video. But I did want to show, here's the Treaty of Peace, which is also 8 stat 80. Now let's talk about King George, or Prince George III, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Duke of Brunswick and Luxembourg, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, and whatever CA is, there's something there he's not saying, and of the United States of America, with the T not capitalized. If you look in the Articles of Confederation, the very first article, it will be capitalized, in parentheses. So as far as King George is concerned, the United States of America is his property. He didn't claim the United States of America. He claimed the United States of America. So the Crown of Great Britain and the said United States, which now that isn't the United States of America, the United States of America that he has, United States is the shortened version of the United States of America. It's the Republic. But I want to show you that the parties that were involved here, so His Britannic Majesty and the United States of America. Now this is his, the United States of America is going to become his agent in the America and be one party to a contract called the Constitution with this other entity called the United States of America. And it's going to be the merger or the union of those two sovereign powers sharing the same property. And since then, the one United States of America has wedged its way in and taken the property from the people that were in the United States of America and kicked us out of the Republic. Well, they had some help, because the people who were signing this paperwork, like John Adams, right? He was the commissioner of the United States of America. He was already working for the king. But he was also minister of said United States. So he's a double agent. Well, so was Ben Franklin. United States of America. No, maybe he wasn't. He's just in the United States of America. He had nothing to do with the United States, right? So John Adams had United States of America and United States. Ben Franklin, there are different kinds of Esquires. See, here's one with a apostrophe there, and this one doesn't have one. So it's like they were different kinds of Esquires, even, because that's shorthand. You start putting that punctuation marks in there. Okay, so he was in the United States of America. And John Jay, he wasn't ever in the United States of America. He was just in the United States. So John Adams was a double agent. Well, you can't serve two masters. But yet he was. So there were things going on back in the days of this Treaty of Peace, even. Just wanted to show you that if you look at your passport now, it'll say United States of America. It doesn't say the United States of America. The page they have you on is United States of America. You're in King George's jurisdiction. You're not in the Republic. You're in the democracy. And in this democracy, you don't have any rights. You're a servant. So what are we going to do about it? Well, hang on a minute here and let me regroup and get some other pages to start with. Okay, let's buzz through some significant definitions. First, what is mail? Signifies the bag used and conveyed through post office letters, right? Mail is the bag that the letters go in. It's not the letters. We need to get it in the bag. So think of the mail as it's the domestic diplomatic pouch. Congress, right? It's got two houses, right? So the Senate is composed of blah, blah, blah. They represent the state rather than the people. The House of Representatives represents the people of the several states who are qualified electors of the most numerous branch of the legislature, which I really don't understand quite what that means. But what I know is, okay, it's not all the people. It's just a certain class of people. This would be the proper noun people, but it's not us. So there's nobody going from the state to D.C. that's representing the lowercase people. But we got the thing with the post office. The post office establishment of the United States is of the greatest importance to the people and to the government. The Constitution of the United States is invested Congress powers to establish post offices and post roads. So the Congress is in charge, but they did it, and so they're there, right? And that's what we're going to use. I just wanted to point out that the Supreme Court, it has its own post office. You may want to write these two addresses down because Rosita gave them to me. I didn't find them myself, so I'm not sure where she found them. But Supreme Court of the United States, Office of the Clerk, Washington, D.C., with a zip code, right? No street, no nothing. Boom. The Chief Justice, the Supreme Court, 1 First Street Northeast, Washington, D.C., 20543. They're both at the same zip code. The zip code is the office of the post office is actually, at the Supreme Court courthouse. Just like all federal courts, they're all in post offices. And so I think that whoever the top judge is there is actually, he's the postmaster general of that particular post office. He may have a postmaster, but he's the general. Okay, that there be established, comma, the seat of government of the United States, comma, a general post office under the direction of a postmaster general. You find the general post office associated with you, which I think is anyone that has his own zip code. Right, that's your little postmaster general post office. And that's where I'm going to try to get I am going to get a postal permit from them to pre-cancel stamps. More on that in just a second. The Postmaster General shall cause the mail to be carried from the nearest post office on any established post road to the courthouse of any county, which is now or may hereafter be established in any of the states or territories of the United States, and which is without a mail. In other words, it don't have its own bag. So the post office will use its bag and take the letter to the courthouse using the mail. So your postmaster general at your local post office should know how to get the mail to the courthouse of the county. I'm going to say that's the little district court of the United States. Not the one that, everybody's going to for IRS cases. No, the little one. And I believe what they mean by that then is the one where the traffic court is. Established by Congress. Has the judicial power. It just needs to get the mail. And you put the judge in the other hat, and well, now it's game over, because when they do this, it's going to go to them as official mail somehow. It'll be registered in a book as prepaid first-class mail, right? That's what registered mail is when it gets in the mail pouch, not something that's called registered mail. It's the action of registered mail. It needs to be in the pouch. And everything in the pouch is like diplomatic. It needs to be registered. It went in the pouch and it came out of the pouch. That the Postmaster General be authorized. I can't read all these. We'd be here forever. Just make sure there wasn't any other ones. Frank, that's kind of what they can do. I've seen lots of definitions on frank. If you cancel a stamp, it's been franked. If you write your name, it's been franked. But not everybody can write your name, but if you can cancel. And the reason for this is if you look at the definition of General Post Office on Wikipedia, it'll say it was, I think it was there, that it was established by King Charles of England. And that originally the person receiving the mail paid for the mail. But they didn't have to accept the mail. And so then there wouldn't be any charge. Right? So they changed the rule. And I'm sure they did it on purpose. Say, well, okay, then it needs to be prepaid to be put in the mail thing to be sure it's protected to get to the other end. Because we're not going to carry it unless we're going to get paid for it. You can use the private carrier. United States Postal Service, instead of the U.S. Postal Service, which is under the U.S. government, which is the government that was created as a military government after the states didn't want to give back their powers under martial law that was declared in 1863 by Lincoln. After the war, the states didn't want to give the power back, so we've been under martial law ever since. And the federal government came up with a military government to go back to, run it like the territory. That's a theory. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, hey, this video may take a while, so I'm sorry about that, but there's a lot of information. It's just the way it goes, right? So how do we get the mail how do we get our letters into the mail pouch? Well, one way is as penalty mail, which is official mail other than franked mail, which is authorized by law to be transmitted in the mail, in the pouch, without prepayment of postage. Otherwise, the postage has to be prepaid. So one way to do it is to prepay the postage. How do you do that? You cancel the stamp in black, which I'm going to try to get the ability to do. But the other way is to do it as official mail. And I just believe that you can go find all these definitions yourselves. This is out of I think it's 18 USC 3201, I believe is there. Yeah, or 39 USC 3201. There you go. Penalty mail means official mail other than frank mail. I think we read that. Penalty mail covers. Penalty cover means an envelope, wrappers, or so forth to transmit penalty mail. Okay. Franked means autograph or facsimile, signature of a person authorized in certain sections and somewhere else without prepayment of postage. All these are things you can do without first paying the postage. But another one to do is, well, pay the damn postage. But the postage isn't paid till the stamp has been canceled. And they're not canceling because they don't use a red frickin' cancel. I'm not saying, or excuse me, they use red, they don't use black. They sometimes use black, but they're not doing it the way it says to do prepayment from the post office where it's being mailed from. They send it someplace else. Oh, it got lost then, technically. But it says this section does not apply to officers who receive a fixed allowance as compensation for their services, including expenses of postage. I believe we're talking about people at the post office. Maybe not through the window, but that little service door over there that's got the half opening door. Right? You can't go to the window, you got to go to the door. And that's what happened when I went to get the other way to do this, which would be to try to get a postal permit to pre-cancel your own stamps. I had to go to the service door. I didn't, they told me at the window, we go stand out there by the service door. It definitely means something. Okay, so they have this form that's called the post office, right? PS form 3615. Mailing permit application and customer profile, which I've shown in another video. And after finding out, you can do the customer profile part online by yourself. And it's in a previous video called Gateway to the Republic, how you would do that. And you become a customer then of the post office. And you've given them all your information, so now they know who you are. So they want you to fill this form out, but it's used for more than one thing. Right? You can use it to get a permit imprint authorization, pre-cancel stamps, postage evidencing system authorization, business reply, merchandise return, yada, yada, yada. And then here are these little receipts that they're supposed to give you for whichever ones you get. And as you can see, for the permit imprint, well, there's an application fee. Authorization for pre-cancel stamps, hey, there is no application fee. Business reply, hey, there's a fee due. And same with merchandise return, fee. Except for pre-cancel stamps. There is no fee. But when you go down to try to do this, they tell you there's a fee. I'm going to charge you $225. Excuse me. It's outrageous. I'd say that's embezzlement. If there's no fee and you try to take it from me. Which is what I told them. So on this form, in number 2, forgetting these 2 check boxes here, I want this thing right here. Mailer, pre-cancel, postmark. Right? And see where it says here, CDMM 604.3? Well, that would tell you all about this pre-canceling. Using pre-canceled stamps that are already, it says on them, canceled, I guess, that you get from the post office. Or using a mailer, pre-cancel, postmark, which you go and purchase from a, guy that makes postmark things, or rubber seals. That's the 2 ways to do it. But they don't want you to do this mailer pre-cancel. They want you to try to do it this other way. Because it must be with these pre-cancel stamps that they're not full price first class mail. They're not retail. They got some discount. And that isn't what I want. I don't want the discount because that, they gave you something. So now you have some contract maybe you didn't want to be part of. I'm not asking for that. I want to use mailer, pre-cancel, postmark. I'll just do it myself. I'll pay for a retail stamp, put it on, and postmark it. So this is the form you're supposed to take to the post office to get, these different services. And again, out of all this, the only one I'm interested in is the one where it says mailer, pre-cancel, postmark. Check. And the information itself, for me, right, because I have a business that is my name, and I'm its owner, so that's my signature. Email address, all this information would come off of the copy of the EIN information they gave them for my sole proprietorship. Because you need to give them 2 pieces of ID. Right? So I could give them my CRID number. That should be the other one, my customer registration identification number that they gave me. But they want one to have a picture on it. So, my state ID. And so I had done this. I've taken this down to them. And then they told me I could have one. But when the guy called me, because he had to go to training or something, because he said, I don't know how to do this, right? And he got back to me a couple days later and said, yeah, but I'm going to have to pay this $220. And I said, well, that isn't what it says. Who told you that? He said, Mel. Mel. Who's Mel? What's Mel's phone number? He gave me Mel's phone number. Okay, well, I'm going to have to think about this. I said, I'm going to have to find a way to get, to have somebody tell you that Mel's incorrect. And that's kind of what I want to try to do. And, well, more on that in just a second. But because I had these up here already. Zip code 20510 is this little block in D.C. And all that really is, right, that is the zip code for, well, I thought it was on here where it says Senate. Oh, here we go. City name, Washington, U.S. Senate. So the Senate building, there's a Senate building here, has its own zip code. But so does the Supreme Court. It has its own zip code. And so the Supreme Court is sitting at a post office. That's what I want to show you that for. And so the postmasters are tasked with getting mail from post office to post office on the post road. And all the roads and posts are all connected together, so, they can get it to the post office at the Supreme Court in the mail. It just isn't happening yet. All right, hang on a second. Now, I've shown this in a previous video. This is from the United States Postal Service privacy policy page, where personal information may include your name, email, mailing, business address, phone numbers, or other information that identifies you personally. We do not require you to register or provide personal information to visit our website. But if you don't, well, you may miss out on some, benefits. Providing the information is voluntary, but if not provided, we may not process your registration request. We do not disclose your information to third parties without your consent, except to facilitate the transaction, to act on your behalf or request, or as legally required. Like, hey, I need you to get this complaint to the court of the county that doesn't have its own mail. I need you to get this to the Supreme Court at this zip code in the mail. They're legally required to do it. Right? Especially if you have a contract with them. That's what I believe. So I'm going to say, I got a contract, you guys have to do this. So this includes the following limited circumstances: to a congressional office on your behalf, to financial entities regarding financial transactions, to U.S. Postal Service auditor, to entities including law enforcement, as required by law or in legal proceeding, other entities aiding us in fulfilling the services, blah, 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 blah. So, where it said to a congressional officer, If the Supreme Court, when they sit together, forms a territorial legislature of some kind, well, that's, they are a congressional officer. When they sit in their offices by themselves, they're not the congressional legislature. Now they're sitting as a judge over their particular district, which is, they're the chief judge of, a certain appeal district. They've split them up between themselves. So I'm not really sure who to mail it to. I just want to send each of them pre-canceled mail until somebody says, yeah, I got your mail. We'll do something with it. Okay, so that was good to know. But that's the reason for doing it, is because if you register as a business, right, now you have a contract with them, you got a CRID number, you registered, you gave them your personal information, they have it on file. Well, now they have a duty to do these things. Let's see if we can get them to do it. I know that, a lot of people have a duty and they don't do it. My point is, I tried a couple things in the last week, and, it seemed to make people do things, which is very unusual. And if you get the ball moving, you want to keep it rolling. So I'm going to go try some more with the same people. That's what this is about. Hang on. Okay, we might as well talk about Manual 604 first, right? Postage, payment methods, and refunds. And pre-canceled stamps, that's Section 3. So 604.3, hey, that's what they were talking about on the form. Yeah, it's right here. Imagine that. You can go find it yourself. You don't need to have the post office do it for you. Pre-canceling is the cancellation of adhesive postage, stamped envelopes, or stamped cards before mailing. Well, that's what I want to do. I'm going to put adhesive postage stamps on, forever stamps, good for 1 ounce of mail at first class rates, and cancel it. But to cancel it, you have to use a black postmark. And they're not using it at the post office. But we can use it. We just need to have a permit. See how that all fits together? Right? Pre-canceling may be done by the mailer. Well, that would be you, under a postal permit. That's what I want. Or you may purchase pre-canceled stamps bearing price category from the USPS. Right? They want to sell you something that's less than retail, and, well, now you gave them control. No, I'm going to pay full price and use my own permit. Thank you very much. Pre-canceled postage is an optional postage payment method for mailing at pre-sorted or automated first-class rates and at all USPS marketing prices. Right? It's optional for that, and that's how they want you to use it, with this pre-sorted or automated first class. Think reduced, price, and USPS mail marketing prices. Reduced price. Well, okay, but that isn't why I want to use it, but it's an option. Okay. Well, it must have a different use. If that's just an option, then it must have another reason. That wasn't why it was created. They've been canceling stamps forever, long before they had these things. Pre-canceled postage stamps may not be used on any reusable mailing. Okay, we're not going to do that. Documentation. Unless accepted by standard, a pre-canceled stamp mailing must be accompanied by documentation subject to the standards for documentation of each class mail if the mailing contains non-identical weight pieces or pieces without full postage at applicable prices. So if you're trying to pay a reduced rate, you have to have documentation. That's what they're going to tell you. You're going to have this documentation to use this. And that's how you're a bulk mailer. You're going to mail 200 pieces, fill out some paperwork, and bring it all in. No, I'm going to bring one envelope, full price postage, and say, here, mail this one. I don't need any documentation. I paid full price. I don't need to prove anything to you. Amount of postage. The value of pre-canceled stamps affixed to each mail piece, and a mailing must either be exact amount due or exact monetary value of USPS pre-canceled stamp appropriate to the price. Right? So either the retail for first-class mail or their reduced rated pre-canceled stamp. That's why you can't use the stamps they have. I don't believe they're at the full price. If they have retail priced pre-cancel stamps, yes, you could use those. Otherwise, you got to do it with a postmark. Get the picture? Outstanding. It isn't that difficult, right? They just want to make it sound like, no, you have to do it this way. No, no, no. No, you need to read the damn form. Right? Or pieces without full postage at applicable rate have to have documentation, which means if it is full postage, you don't need anything. Put it in the mail. Mail bearing pre-cancel postage must be presented to the post office where the permit is held. Oh, okay. Now that we're talking about they gave you the permit. So you can't take it to a different post office. You need to take it to the post office where the permit is. At the times and places designated by the postmaster. Well, I wonder where the place may be. It may not even be the post office. It may be, oh, you got to go in that door over there, right? Got to go to the half door, service door, that place, not the window. Mail bearing pre-cancel postage must not be deposited in street collection boxes. You got to give it to somebody. You know why? Because they're going to register it and then put it into the diplomatic pouch. And that will be registered mail, as it was meant to be. Where it is registered mail, it just isn't the name of something called registered mail. Pre-cancel may be combined with mailing, with mail paid with other means, only if authorized. Okay, well, I don't plan to do it in any other way than full price, retail, first class mail, which before I forget, you need to write that below the stamps. It needs to say first class mail on it. I believe we'll see it as we go here. For it to be, right? It's called an endorsement. Certain endorsements we need to make sure that we put on also. But I'm not trying to do anything tricky, USPS. I'm just going to use a retail stamp and my postmark. Return address, except for mail pieces otherwise requiring return address under some section. This, reduced rate pieces, 13 ounces or less, bearing stamp pre-canceled with a mailer's postmark, are not required to include return address. So, 13 ounces, okay, so, except for mail pieces, otherwise requiring a return address under some other section. And one of those is official mail, so you're going to want to put a return address on it. They're not required to have it. So if you wanted to hide who actually sent it, you wouldn't have to put a return address. You could just use your mailer's postmark, which I believe is what they're doing, whoever they are. Because when I did a DUNS search on the address where my court is, it doesn't come up with the name of the court. It comes up with the name of a business. Kent, county of, parentheses, Inc. is actually the business. So if I was to find mail from my district court and look at its, because they don't put stamps or anything, right? They're all using this, stuff off the computer or whatever. But they're going to have their permit number. That permit isn't to the court, it's to some freaking incorporated business. They're hiding their identity, right? So, but because they don't have to put a return address, they didn't. They put, the name of a different business on there. They didn't put the return address of the permit holder. They put a fictitious name on. I believe that's what they did. Okay, but all other mail pieces bearing pre-canceled stamps must have a complete domestic return address. Mail pieces bearing pre-canceled stamps and any return address outside the mail post office or mailing must meet one of the following standards, because you don't have to have your permit from the same place the return address is, which is kind of what I'm doing. I'm going to have a permit for Greenville because it's closer to go to, but my return address is actually Rockford. So I would have to meet one of these three things. Well, I'm not doing any duplicate postage statements because I'm not going to have any statements, so I can't do A. The mailer must put a cancellation endorsement to the left of the postage showing the city, two-letter state abbreviation, and zip code of the office mailing. What did that say? Cancellation endorsement. To the left of the postage. So here's the stamps. Well, what's to the left of the stamps? Oh, well, that's where the postmark goes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I could do B. I could get a postmark that says showing the name of the city, Greenville, two-letter state abbreviation, Michigan, zip code 48838. That would be the postmark. And it would be to the left of the postage. Or the mailer must use a cancellation endorsement mailed from zip code, followed by the 5-digit zip code, assigned to the postmaster of the office of mailing. Which is why you can have a postmark in two different ways, where it's either like A or B, and we'll see what they look like here in just a second. Right? You can city, Greenville, state, Michigan, abbreviation, two-letter MI, 5-digit zip code, or it could just say mailed from zip code with the 5-digit zip code. Either of those is adequate to meet the criteria of that section. Markings and endorsements. Whether the mailer or USPS pre-cancel the stamps, each mail piece with pre-canceled postage must bear markings and endorsements required for price claimed or services requested. What am I requesting? First class mail. Not pre-sorted first class mail, not some derivative of first class mail. Frickin' first class mail, period. Which is full price. Permit to use pre-cancel stamps. Authorization to use pre-cancel stamps. A mailer who wants to use USPS pre-cancel stamps and stamped envelopes must complete 3615, file at the post office where filings are to be deposited. Hey, that's what we're going to do. Right, we're going to complete the section that we need, which is really just in the section 2. If an applicant has already, completed the 3615 because they've done one of the other 3 or 4 things it's for, well then you don't really need another one, right? So if you already have one on file for other services, pre-cancel authorization is annotated on the existing application. There is no fee. There is no fee for this permit. There is no fee for this permit. There is no fee for this permit. And why did the dude tell me it's going to cost me $220? I believe he is incorrect. And somebody told him he was. Revocation of pre-canceled stamp permit. A permit may be revoked if used and operated in any unlawful scheme or enterprise. Better use it properly. Or for buying or acquiring stamps at mailers' pre-canceled postmarks. Or a mailer's pre-canceled postmarks for other than mailing. Nope. Got no other use for it. Or for failing to comply with the format requirement or instructions on the 3615. The permit holder has 10 days to file a written statement showing why the permit should not be revoked. The manager, customer support. Hey, look at that, lowercase district. That's like lowercase district court of the United States. The manager, customer service support, well, that'd be like a postmaster, issues a decision on these such appeals. Right? It almost sounds like the postmaster general. Very good. So I got to remember to do that. I got to ask him, who is my manager, customer service support for my location? I'd like to talk to him. And there's a way, and we get through all this. Well, we're going to go and see how you can send emails to USPS, and they will reply. Especially if you have a contract with them. If you got a CRID number and you say, we have a contract. And you, working for the USPS, have violated the terms of the contract. I need to talk to your boss. USPS pre-cancel stamps are pre-printed with price category as pre-canceled method. The following also applies. Right? I don't want to use USPS pre-cancel stamps. I'm not going to spend any time on it. Pre-cancellation of stamps by the mailer. That's what I want to do. A mailer meeting the standards of 3.4 may pre-cancel adhesive stamps, stamped cards, stamped envelopes with the mailers pre-cancel postmark. Right here. Right there. Right. Gee, they don't work the same when I'm trying to do a video. I've got too much memory being used. Mailers authorized under 3.4 may pre-cancel one or more postage stamps provided the total of the postage on the mail piece equals the exact monetary value of the corresponding pre-cancel stamp appropriate to the price of the mail piece. Or, right? One or more postage provided the total of the postage on the mail equals the exact monetary value of the corresponding pre-cancel stamp appropriate to the price category of the mail piece. Stamp cards are pre-canceled at time of printing. They do not require mailers pre-cancel postmark. A mailer must request authorization to pre-print price markings on pre-canceled stamps or to use pre-canceled postmark on adhesive stamps, stamped cards, and stamped envelopes. That's what I want to do. I want to do the or. I want to use a pre-canceled postmark on adhesive stamps that are full price. Right? Or on an envelope from the post office that says official business on it. I'm hoping to get one that says official business. Right? And then I'll pre-cancel with my postmark. The applicant must submit a specimen mail piece showing the pre-printing method or proposed pre-cancel postmark. Well, how am I supposed to give them a specimen until they tell me it's okay to use the one I have, right? So when I told Greenville, I want to have one, just tell them I want one like yours. Right? If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Just, hell, make me one, I'll buy it from you. We'll see what their answer is on that. If more than one pre-printed marking is prepared or more than one format is used, a specimen for each is submitted. Form 3615 must be endorsed pre-printing of price markings or pre-cancel postmark or both. So, on the form, you got to check the little frickin' box. Mailers, pre-cancel, postmark, right? Not the one before, the one after. The one to the right of the words. That's the one you want. That's really all I want from them. Right? It didn't say anything here. It said it above to use the reduced price stamps, right? But it didn't say anything here about clicking pre-cancel stamp authorization. I don't want that. I just want this. I want the mailer's pre-cancel postmark. Because they each have different permit numbers, right? Here's where all the permit numbers go. So I just want this one. I don't want any of these other ones. I just want this one right here. All the way through to the end. Bip, 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 bip. And I believe then I will have complied with the law, right? The jots and tittle of the law will have been complied with, and I can have my mail put, or my letters put into the mailbox, into the mail, the pouch. Okay, so, hey, that manager, he's the guy that has to approve your postmark. I wonder if that's the Postmaster General. Authorization conditions. Mailer pre-cancellation is authorized only for specimen mail pieces submitted and approved. After that, a specimen must be submitted and approved for each new pre-cancel postmark format or pre-printed marking to be used. Denial. The application of format samples are not approved by the district business mail entry manager. Can you say Postmaster General? The applicant receives written notice from the postmaster stating, the reasons for the denial. The applicant may file a written appeal with the Pricing and Classification Service Center. Da-da-da. Hey, got to go to somebody else. Must be the appeals court. Right? Here's the lowercase district court. That if they deny you, you go to the appeals court. Until then, the lowercase district court appears to be this district business mail entry manager. Because the post office has a duty to take mail to the county court that doesn't have the mail. Revocation, okay, whatever. The mail or pre-cancel postmark must contain specific elements. The mailing date, day, month, and year, if used on first-class mail. Well, that's what we want to use it for. The month and year and mailing may be shown on USPS marketing mail. I don't care. I'm going to do it because it needs to be May, day, month, and year for first-class mail. The words mailer's postmark followed by the permit number and enough lines to deface the postage. Either the city, state, and 5-digit zip code, or where the pre-cancel permit is held, for where the pre-cancel permit is held, and the mailing is to be deposited, or the words mailed from zip code followed by the 5-digit zip code of the mailing office. Hey, I think we read that before. So what, jeepers, what's it got to look like? A pre-cancel postmark may include the words or authorized abbreviation of the price marking required for the price claimed. And so you could add to this stamp, because they don't show it on here, first-class mail, because that's what we're trying to send it as. And the reason for that is if you look at court and sending things to people, they say you need to send it first-class mail. It's not first-class mail unless it goes into the mail pouch. And it's not going to the mail pouch unless it's been pre-canceled. But just pre-canceling the stamp isn't enough unless it says it's for first-class mail. Not pre-sorted first-class mail or some derivative, just first-class mail. Such pre-printed markings must be in uppercase letters of at least 6 point printed in black indelible ink on the stamp where optimum contrast is possible. I want them to show me an example. Cancellation of stamps. Black ink must be used for cancellation. Cancellation. There is no other choice. Cancellation is black ink. Required format. Mailer must use format A. Format B may be used only if you get authorization. And so actually that's what I'm waiting for right now, because here's format A, right? You got the name of the city, the 2 digits, and the zip code with the date. Mailer's postmark permit with, that would be your number right there. Or mail from zip code something, which is the other one with the date. Mailer postmark permit, yeah. But I like this one because I have wavy lines in my, my thing where it says mailer's postmark permit. I'm proud to show it off. I don't want that canceled. To me, that's like, well, that's just canceled the frickin' postmark. No, I want it this way. Right? New York with the date is like this one here. And so this one here, it would just say around the edge, mailed from zip code number. But then I had the zip code on this one. So they didn't do it quite the same. I just like the style, so I want to use this style and put the words on it like it said to do it. This is intentionally missing the zip code, it looks like. And I just don't like the fact that the cancel stripes went through the frickin' mailer's postmark. I didn't cancel my postmark permit. No, I want it like this. Okay, here, just a second. Okay, why are we here? To get to this point. If you Google USPS, email us, you'll find this spot right here. Right? USPS, email us. First hit, USPS, email us. That one right there. And it should look like this page here. This is what you're looking for. And here, if you're a customer, you can go under this business tab. Right? So you say tracking, no. Business tab, yes. Bulk mailing, da-da-da. And then you'd hit continue. And this is all getting ready to send them an email about whatever your concern is or whatever, right? This is, so start paying attention, right? So where are we talking about? Well, you got post office and other. And I haven't tried the other yet, right? So I'm just going to stick with post offices for today. So I had a concern that my postman said it was going to cost me $220 to have something that there's no fee for. I wanted to complain. So locate a post office. And then you come to this page, right? And you put in the post office. So I was doing 48838. It's my post office. Search. And it's got two, right? Two of them come up under that zip code. So it's like, okay, well, one must be a branch. The other one must be the general. And so it could be that this Greater Michigan CNIC, which is Consumer Affairs, that's actually the general because it has a different zip code altogether. But I said the Greenville station. I may have to go back now and be thinking about this, go the other one. But you can see, right, that one of these is the general and the other one is a branch. But I did Greenville. I clicked that, hit submit. And hey, it populates this whole thing here, right? And then you put in your CRID number and so forth and so on. And we'll finish this up in a minute, but and I'll actually do one because I have a new one to complain about. We'll have to see. It'll be a different post office, but we'll go from there. But I did this already on a couple, so let's just look at one that I did, right? I did one. I had sent this one two different ways, so I'm just going to use the one I found as the format, but it was the same wording. Back on January 31st, I sent one. Notice United States Postal Service is in breach of contract with Robert Allen Retluski. I, the owner of sole proprietorship, Robert Allen Retluski, am attempting to acquire a postal permit issued from the Greenville, Michigan Post Office, allowing the mailer me to pre-cancel adhesive postage as authorized by United States Postal Service in its manual 604, specifically section 3. Pre-cancel stamps, right? Pre-cancel stamps, most pertinent part at the end of the notice, because I'm only interested in certain parts of it. And we'll get there. There is no fee for this permit. It says so in there. Troy at the post office said that Mel at this phone number decided to pay a fee over $200. If there is a fee, please provide evidence to support such claim. If no such fee is required, and I'm being told I need to pay said fee, then that would be a false statement in a federal matter, and the attempted embezzlement of my property. I would have to file a criminal complaint with the United States Postal Inspection Service against Troy, Mel, and the reader of this notice. The alternative is that Troy and Mel are mistaken in, I said Postal 1 because that's who I sent it to, and this particular one, but it was through a different system. Excuse me. Yada, yada, yada. My business and I have a contract, the United States Postal Service. That's my CRID number, and at this moment, the United States Postal Service is not in compliance. And then there were the sections, and there's my business, and there's my CRID number, my mailing number. I even have a DUNS number now, except they put your name backwards, so I'm not really happy about that. And I have an EIN, so don't pay too much attention about the DUNS and so forth. Just mailer ID, get the CRID number, and when you get a CRID, which is a customer registration identification, they give you a mailer ID. And those incorporate all your information together. So I sent that, and on the 2nd, I got a reply that said case HQ 136686214. Well, they made a case out of it. Addressed to me, my full legal name, thank you very much. This message is to let you know that we have received your inquiry at the post office. After we review and investigate the information you have provided, we will contact you and work with you until the case is resolved. Outstanding. Thank you for letting us know about this issue. We look forward to serving you. Sincerely, your United States Postal Service, Tanya N. Edwards, A/supervisor. So I'm not really sure what that is. It doesn't say postmaster. And that's the phone number of the local post office, and this is her email address. Now, the funny thing is, when you Google her email address, it doesn't show her associated with the Greenville Post Office. It shows her associated with the Carson City Post Office as the postmaster. Don't know what all that means. I'm just saying, hey, they responded, because one of the things they say when you fill this out, you get a receipt, basically, and it says within 24 hours or a short period of time, you'll hear from the post office. And so it wasn't quite 24 hours, but I did it late in the afternoon or evening on the 31st, and they answered the 2nd. So, and then on the 6th, I got the answer. Now they changed it to Mr. Retluski. They didn't use Robert Allen Retluski, so we're going to have to figure that out. I contacted the business mail entry unit to research your inquiry and have been advised of the following. There is no fee to open a pre-cancel permit. Your customer can get a pre-cancel stamp account. Well, I don't want that. In Greenville today, by filling out the PS 3615. I don't want that. I want the pre-cancel permit of the 3615 form when I closed it down, right? So we should look at this. I guess I should just keep it open till we're done. This right here. They want me to say I want this pre-cancel stamp authorization. I don't. I want a mailer's pre-cancel postmark permit. It's got its own permit number. Before he mails a pre-cancel, however, before he mails a pre-cancel stamp mailing with this pre-cancel permit, there could be an annual fee of $225 that needs to be paid. This would depend on the mailer is submitting full service electronic mailing. If the mailer submits all mailings electronically as full service mailings using intelligent mail, so forth and so on, then it would be waived. This annual fee is not part of the application process. It is a separate fee, but I'm not doing any of that. I'm merely, they're talking about using a form of prepaid mail that is at a reduced rate, and I'm going to use nothing but retail. Because in retail, right, I'm the buyer. I paid the tax. I'm the taxpayer in retail. I'm buying it from them. They have to collect the tax and they have to pay and turn it in, but retail is commerce. And so it's good to be the end user, consumer, because you pay the tax. That makes you Caesar's taxpayer. Caesar really does like you. He just like to know you're out there. They're hiding us from him. So how to apply for a permit to use pre-cancel stamps? Blah, 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 blah. They gave me this sideways answer on doing pre-cancel stamp authorization, but that's not what I'm going to do. I am going to use the mailer's postmark. So they answered, but it really isn't the answer I wanted. Right? Don't talk about using a pre-canceled postmark. So I may, as I'm looking at this now, I may even go back and complain again. But I've already talked to since I got this answer, I talked to Troy at the post office, and I said, "Can I come down Monday and get my permit?" And he said I could, so I just planned on going down there and getting the permit and saying, "This is what I want, this one here, right, with the postmark." He said the reason he hadn't contacted me yet was because I had asked about using the Style B postmark that we saw in the mailer's pre-cancel postmark that we saw in the Manual 604, DMM 604.3. Remember that section? But they did give me an answer. So, so that, which is unusual. Most places don't give you an answer. And the case hasn't been decided yet, so we're not done yet. The case is still open. I have a case number. This is the wonderful thing. Case ID. Now they changed the ID number from what they were showing here, where it had an HQ, but that's okay. Play your games, people. We're paying attention to the jots and tittles. This one's to Robert Allen Ritlewski, and it's got a number. This one's to Mr. Ritlewski, and the number's changed. Right? They're trying to confess and avoid from giving the thing that they really don't want us to be able to do, which is to properly pre-cancel a postage stamp, because then they would have to put it in the mail, in the frickin' let's call it diplomatic mail, domestic diplomatic mail. They want to send it outside of the mail, and I don't want it sent that way. So that was one of them. I did another one. Hang on just a second. Let's look at this one too, and then then I'm going to do one, and we'll just see how how you use the form. So, hang on. Okay, I have that intelligent delivery. Is that what they call it? I can't remember exactly what they call it. I'm sure we'll look at it before it's over. But one of the things I signed up for that I talked about in the video about Gateway to the Republic. And when you sign up for it, all these mailings that are coming to your address, you get an email that shows an image of the envelope. And so I had asked the United States Postal Service, because of what it says in the privacy policy, that I wanted a copy of all records that the post office had that incorporated my Social Security number as part of the record. And I sent it to where I sent it to. And, we'll talk about that more some other time. I need to get this done. But I got the envelope back, and it wasn't addressed to me. It's addressed to Ryan Allen Ritlewski. It's like, who the hell is that dude? And I said, they did that on purpose. I've not opened this envelope yet. I still have it sitting here. Right? Because it's not addressed to me. It's like, no, I'm not opening that. No, you didn't address it to me because you don't want to answer my question. Right? It's going to be some reason I can't have the information or something in there. But no, I want it for my Social Security number. So I said, I'm going to complain. It's the way I complained about the postal permit. And so what I got was, review, receipt, complaint. So I went to the same site, which is here, but I didn't do business. I picked one of these other ones, postal facility, I could probably tell if I looked at the damn thing. See, it's inquiry type. Now it's personal. It's not business, first of all, right? Other USPS employees. So that's why I'm saying I'm not going to use any of these other ones again. I'm going to do it business, not doing it personal. So we got a contract. Jeepers. So it doesn't really matter which one it was, because we're not going to use that one again. But I did this one. So and they ask you these things. In this case, do you have a complaint or a compliment? No compliment. I have a complaint, never contacted customer. Privacy Record Management Office, right? They never contacted me. because they didn't. They wrote somebody else. And so I said, on 129/18, my business received first-class mail letter addressed to fictitious name Ryan Allen Ratluski, allegedly located at my business at physical location. This letter appears to have been sent by the holder of permit G10. And all that stuff is it's on the paperwork. Let's see, it was an image, right? Yeah. Right, G10 with my stuff. My full legal name is Robert Allen Ratluski, and using Ryan Allen Ratluski instead of or in place of my full legal name is an offense against the United States and its laws, specifically 18 U.S.C. 1342, fictitious name and addresses. This first. Hi, good evening, Rob. This first-class mail has a return address of something or other. I previously contacted the manager requesting information on all records that incorporated my Social Security number, 374506794. Instead of addressing myself and my full legal name or providing my requested service, an individual representing the United States Postal Service substituted a fictitious name. This is a false statement and an omission of a material fact in a federal matter, offending 18 U.S.C. 1001. Robert Allen Ratluski requested all records that incorporate Social Security number 374506794, but this request has not been acknowledged by the United States Postal Service. As a customer of the United States Postal Service CRID number, it is my belief that the United States Postal Service is not in compliance with our contract, and I demand satisfaction. And I had also pointed out the Inspector General. And some more information that goes along with it. Well, thank you for your email. And they opened up a case. And, but I didn't hear anything. See, this is like on the 4th. And so the 7th, I said, well, I'm going to do another one and complain that I didn't get an answer to my complaint. I've not received a reply to case number whatever. Right? So this is on the 7th. I hadn't heard anything. So now on the 7th, right away, I get an answer to Robert Allen Ratluski using the proper name. Case ID. Of course, I don't have that HQ on there. Thank you for contacting the United States Postal Service. I regret learning of the inconvenience you have experienced on our Postal Service employee. I share your concern and disappointment regarding the letter you received from the Privacy and Records Management Office in District of Columbia, or in Washington, D.C., with your first name spelled wrong. No, they're not spelled wrong. They didn't use my name. They used somebody else's name. I talked to the Privacy and Records Management Office about your concerns. A letter you received from the Privacy and Records Management Office had your first name spelled wrong. The woman there double-checked your records and found someone had spelled your first name wrong in the letter they sent to you. She will make the necessary corrections and send you a new letter. She asked me to tell you. Now, she apologizes for the error and thanks you for letting the Postal Service know about it. The Inspection Service did receive a copy of your concern. You will not receive a reply from the Inspection Service unless they need more information. Thank you for the opportunity to address this matter with you. Linda, right? So it's nobody's full legal name, but the District Consumers Affairs, Greater Michigan District Consumer and Industry Contact. Not sure who that is, but they did reply, and I'm waiting now to see if I get this new letter from whomever. But at least they reply in this, making this record online, and eventually you put all the pieces together, maybe you'll actually, get something done. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to show you one more that I'm going to do, because here recently I got mailed this from the Internal Revenue Service, right, to Robert A. Ratluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Oakfield, Kent County, Michigan, 49341. Well, it came as registered mail, and I said, well, I'm not signing for that. Here, you can take that back. Because I gave the Internal Revenue Service my information. And we're going to look at that in just a second. So let me reload for this one. Because now we're going to go back and actually do another complaint. I'll show you how to do it. Hang on. Pause. Okay, so here's what they sent me. Right, and it came from, 49341. That's my zip code. That's the people that brought it to me. And so I'm going to write a complaint, using this form that I showed you. But the problem with the form is that there isn't much room to see what your complaint words are going to be. So I wrote it on paper first. Right, this is a criminal complaint regarding certified mail piece. There's the number that my letter carrier attempted to deliver to myself on February 5th, 2018, allegedly mailed by the Internal Revenue Service in an official business envelope. Is that what they did? Well, it says official business. Internal Revenue Service. I'm not lying. After my inspection of this mail piece, I rejected the delivery, did not sign for it, and returned it to my letter carrier. When asked by my letter carrier what is wrong with it, I said it is not addressed to me. I do not have a middle initial in my name. I have a given name, Robert Allen. And the mailing address is incorrect. I have an FEIN, 8236544127, from the Department of Treasury Internal Revenue Service. It has my full legal name and physical location of record. So there's no lawful reason for the mailer to contact me in any other style of name or address, right? The IRS gave me an EIN for Robert Allen Retluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. It gave me a 147C letter that says the employee identification number. Thank you for your inquiry. Your employee identification number is 8236544127. Right, now it has the +4. Right. And this came from Ogden, Utah. Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. Where'd this letter come from? Where-A? Ogden, Utah. 84201. 84201. Same zip code. Well, they just told me what they've agreed what it is, first of all. So there's no reason for them to have it wrong. So, my United States Postal Service customer registration ID, grid 240962202, uses the name and address associated with my FEIN to authenticate the physical location and mailing address of my business. The United States Postal Service is my official witness that the mailer used a fictitious name and address in its correspondence. It is my belief that the mailer, allegedly the Internal Revenue Service, has offended the laws of the United States, specifically 18 U.S.C. 1342, fictitious names and addresses, which says whoever for the purpose of conducting, promoting, or carrying on by means of the Postal Service any scheme or device mentioned in 1341 of this title or any other unlawful business uses or assumes or requests to be addressed by a fictitious, false, or assumed title. Right? I believe they're calling themselves the Internal Revenue Service, and they're not. And that they're not using my name. Or address or name other than his own proper name, or takes or receives from post office authorized mail. Da-da-da-da-da. I do not believe that the mailer of that number is the Department of Treasury Internal Revenue Service. It is my belief the mailer is engaged in mail fraud scheme that violates federal laws 18 U.S.C. 1341, 1342, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I demand this be investigated and arrest warrant be issued against the mailer for offenses against the United States. So my plan is to copy and paste this into the form because we can't really see the form. But now we'll go to the form. So you would go to business and click bulk mailing, continue, post office, locate a post office, 49341 this time, because that's who sent it, search. Now isn't that interesting, right? Now we got two of them that are called stations and one that's called the Consumer Affairs Office. Well, there's only one of those, and there's two stations. So it's like, well, these are the branches, and this is the general post office. So instead of clicking the one that's for, it would be this 57 Cortlandt Street, I'm going to go to Greater Michigan CNCIC this time. And I'm going to complain to them. And so what do I need to do next? I need to put in my CRID number. Well, let's go find that. So if you signed up to get a CRID, right, customer registration ID, you have gotten this letter, similar, which is going to have your mailer ID. It's going to have your CRID number. I'm just going to copy and paste it because it'll be quicker for me. So let's populate some blocks. And date this incident happened. When did I say it happened? I think I said it in my letter. February 5th. Okay. I'm going to say February 5th. Additional information. You got 4,000 character limit. This is where you put your stuff in. Okay, did it again. Yeah, copy. Yep. Paste. Yep. Right? It's in there. There it all is. I'm sure it's less than 4,000. Far less. Continue. And now you got to fill this out, right? So here we go. Robert Allen, because I don't have a middle name, I just have a given. Oh, I'm doing it as a business. I forgot. Still want your first name and last name, right? But I'm going to do it as a business. What's the business? Robert Allen Retluski. 1095514 Mile Road, Northeast. Rockford. Actually, I'm going to do it the way that they showed it, right? They told me that the address, when you go back and look at the paperwork I did to get this, right, that your address is really this way. All right, that's my address. That's the name of the company. What's the address of the company? Robert Allen Retluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan. 49341-8664. Email. Rob Ryder at AOL. Ryder at AOL.com. I probably shouldn't have hit that key right there. Continue. Hey, look at that. Hit continue, and now you're looking at it's business, right? Reviewing the email. Business, bulk mail, and business mail entry to these people. I don't know if they wanted their CRID or my CRID. I gave them my CRID. Is that right? Now, is that, because that isn't my CRID. Now, how come it put their CRID in? That's interesting. I put mine in, they changed it to theirs. That's okay with me. because that isn't what mine is according to my paperwork. It's, oh yeah, 2409620. Please forgive me. I get my numbers confused. 2409620. 2406. Right. That's mine. Right? Because I'm sending it to the post office. I don't need to tell them what their crit is. This is my crit. I'm their customer. That was the date. Additional information. This is a criminal complaint regarding blah, blah, blah. Hey, it's all in there. It seems like it took it all. Robert Allen Ritlewski. Company name, address. Well, that's how they did it before, so I'm going to keep doing it until they tell me I'm wrong. I may actually ask them someday. So I want to print this, because that's what I didn't do before, is I didn't print it. There's a PDF, print. And I'm going to put it right here in this video thing that I'm doing, where all these other ones are, and say complaint versus IRS. Okay. Hit submit. Thank you for your email. The United States, the U.S. Postal Service representative will contact you within 1 business day regarding your inquiry. The case number for request is HQ, whatever. So they gave it another case number. Right? So this is like your receipt. So I'm going to go save this and say, well, I'm going to print it as a PDF and call it receipt. Versus IRS. And I can move that with date. I should have put the date. That's okay. (11 Feb 2018). I should have put that for the complaint too, maybe, but yeah, I'll find it. Save it. And that's done. It's gone to them. We'll see what they have to say. But as you see, I didn't go to the one with the zip code because it had a different one. Those were called stations. And there was one that wasn't a station. We'll try that one instead. See what they had to say. Okay, that's been done. Give me just a minute here. We're just about done. Hope I didn't say too much there that I didn't want you to hear. I was looking for these things, but here we are. We're just about done right now. I thought I had it turned off. Here's the Act, 84 Stat 719, Public Law 91-375, creating the Postal Service, that says in its postal policy, the United States Postal Service shall be operated as a basic and fundamental service provided to the lowercase people by the government of the United States, authorized by the Constitution, created by Act of Congress, and supported by the people. The Postal Service shall have, as its basic function, the obligation to provide postal services to bind the nation together through the personnel, education, literary, business correspondence of the people. Didn't say private. Well, it said personal. Is that private? I don't know. But it did say business. So register as a business. It shall provide prompt, reliable, and efficient service to patrons in all areas, and shall render postal services to all communities. The cost of establishing and maintaining postal services shall not be apportioned to impair overall value of such services to the people. It's unconstitutional not to give us full service at the post office. So this was then codified into Title 39. And I just wanted to pull a couple of pieces out that go with that. that we know what it's supposed to have. There is an independent establishment of executive branch of the government of the United States. How come it should have printed out. It did print out before. It's the United States Postal Service. I'll go back and look at the law because I want to see it. Right there is established as an independent establishment of the executive branch of the government of the United States, the United States Postal Service. So that having, a trademark or something behind it, that doesn't make any sense. No, this is a branch of the government. An independent establishment of the executive branch of the government. Okay. The exercise of the powers of the Postal Service shall be directed by the Board of Governors, composed of 11 members appointed in accordance with this section. 9 of the members, to be known as governors, shall be appointed by the President, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, not more than 5 of which may be adherents of the same political party. Governors shall elect a chairman from among its members. The governor shall be chosen to represent, blah, 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 blah. Well, United States Postal Service. That sounds good, but the problem is they're all vacant. I should put Board of Governors. I want to find a particular thing in Wikipedia where it talks about the governors, says who they are, and right now there's 9 vacancies. Right? You can disagree with Wikipedia, but Board of Governors of the United States Postal Service has 9 vacancies. I think that would be a problem. I wonder if there's something in the law that says you're going to have a few more than that. Let's see. The board shall direct and control the expenditures, review the practices and policies of the Postal Service, and perform other functions and duties prescribed by this article. Vacancies in the board, as long as they are sufficient numbers to form a quorum, shall not impair the powers of the board under this title. The board shall act upon majority vote of those members who are present, and any 6 members present shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business by the board, except blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the except. They don't have any people there. There's only 2 out of the 11, and the 2 that are there had to have been appointed by the board, and there's no frickin' board members. Postmaster General, the Chief Executive Officer of the Postal Service, the Postmaster General, appointed under Section 202. C. Oh, it's here. The governor shall appoint and shall have the power to remove the Postmaster General. Well, if there's no governors, how could they have appointed a Postmaster General? I believe there's a little shady dealing going on here. If you're in the post office and happen to be watching this, shame on you. That's why we're not very happy. Right? We're not crazy. People are breaking the law, pretending they're following the law. And so we're going to try to put an end to it, and we're going to try to use the post office, and we're going to try to use official mail. And tomorrow I'm going to go down and try to get my postal permit and get some official mail envelopes. And if I need to, I'll do it that way. I'll use official mail envelopes. We'll see if they'll let me. I'll be back in a day or so to tell you what I found out. But that's where we are today. And as far as all the other things I was doing, obviously they're going to have to wait. This video is already getting too long. Y'all have a good night. See you soon.